Good evening. I'd like to call this Monday, February 19th, 2024, Midstate Technical College District Board of Directors meeting to order. Roll call, Angie.
Betty Brewski-Malik. Here. Richard Murden.
Here.
Gordon Shallow.
Here.
Charles Spargo.
Here.
Terry Whitmore.
Here.
Ari Vang. Here. Ryan Zietlow.
Here.
Open meeting certification. This February 19th, 2024 meeting of the Midstate Technical College District Board of Directors and all other meetings of the board and/or its committees is open to the public in compliance with state statutes. Notice of this meeting has been sent to news media and designated persons in an attempt to make the citizens of the Midstate Technical College District aware of the place, time, and agenda of the meeting. Open forum. The open forum is at the option of the board chairperson, and ground rules have been established to ensure the orderly conduct of business. This is a meeting of the district board open to the public and not a public hearing. Persons who wish to address the district board may make a statement as long as it pertains to a specific agenda item. Individuals should not expect to engage in discussion with the members of the district board. The district board chairperson may or may not respond to statements made. Do we have anybody here? We do not. Moving on, action on January 15th, 2024 board meeting minutes. I'd entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, consent agenda item. This includes payment of bills and payroll, contracted service agreements, and procurement for goods and services. Would there be a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion, comments? Roll call, Angie.
Betty Brewski-Malik.
Yes.
Gordon Shallow.
Yes.
Charles Spargo.
Yes.
Terry Whitmore.
Yes.
Ari Vang.
Yes.
Ryan Zietlow.
Yes.
Richard Murden.
Yes. Board chairperson's report. Thank you for joining us this evening. It's nice to have everybody here. The Spring Boards Association meeting is going to be March 21st through the 23rd in Rhinelander. I plan to attend, and Betty, anybody else planning to attend? Ryan?
Yes.
All right, super.
Question is, there's a new procedure now, Angie. So I registered online already.
Oh.
I didn't know how we're supposed to do it, so I did online, and I made my reservation at the resort too.
Okay.
Because there's a choice.
And
You
I
can,
think it's,
it's a 2-level hotel, no elevator. So if you need first floor accommodations, you gotta let them know. So I did. I didn't know how we were supposed to be doing that with the new procedure. So I'm registered.
Brian, are you registered? I'm not.
I am not registered.
Okay.
And I would be traveling.
yeah.
I'll take care of it.
Okay.
I'll connect with you.
Okay, thank
There is some charging now as well, and I think Rick is
Yeah.
going to share
Yeah,
that information, so.
Yeah, there's a new, with any organization, policies and procedures, especially relating to finances, are always reviewed. And so there are some changes coming along. Starting with the spring meeting, each in-person registration will be assessed a $200 fee to include meals, snacks, beverages, transportation, and meeting room fees. And virtual registrations will be assessed a $25 fee for meeting room fees. The registration deadline is March 4th. Annual District Board Association officer elections. Nominations are being taken for the annual District Board officer elections, which will occur at the spring meeting in March. Handouts at your seat with additional information. Midstate must appoint a delegate to the District Boards Association, and that's Betty currently. Are there any nominations for any officer positions? Anybody that's interested in pursuing an officer position? All right, thank you. ACCT Leadership Congress was in DC. Oh, wait, where are we?
Oh, I think
In Nevada?
It's
Wait.
I think it was just.
Okay.
You're right.
Yeah, right.
February
Okay,
in DC.
so we were just in DC. Betty and I, along with Bobby and Mandy there, divided and conquered where we could, and made some really nice meetings with some of our legislators. I'll go through some of my comments, then I'll let Betty comment. A couple of new terms. One from the National Governors Association President Bill McBride talked about what they call a paper ceiling. And that's this, and you've been hearing a lot more buzz about this, is that this is that 4-year degree ceiling that a lot of, whether it's, he was referring to states, their state requirements for positions, jobs, have this 4-year degree as opposed to, just competency for whatever that position is. So talking about this paper ceiling, this 4-year degree ceiling. And they also, I wasn't familiar, they had another term called STAR workers. It's kind of related to that. STAR stands for Skills Through Alternate Routes. Again, focusing on the competency. Does the person have the competency? And an example there is that Pennsylvania eliminated at a state level 65,000 jobs that required a 4-year degree as an example of what that can open up, across the country. That's one state. So that was very interesting. In our meetings with the legislators, we were really focused on a lot on the workforce Pell, which is reducing that 300 hours? Reducing that requirement to get financial aid from 300 hours program to 150. And everybody that we talked to, Tammy Baldwin, Derek Van Orden, they were all supportive of that concept of, needing, again, this goes towards looking to provide the skills needed for those in-demand positions that may or may not be, a full 2-year degree. So a lot of support for that. There was an interesting comment. One of the sessions I attended was on AI, artificial intelligence, and talking about how the schools are struggling with that. It's not going to go away. But one of the interesting things that I heard, and I don't remember what college was doing this, but how they were using AI was having their students, they would prepare something, let's say, what was the example? Have AI, ChatGPT, generate a summary of the Vietnam War, and then have the students pick apart that AI-generated response. I thought that was a very interesting way to both incorporate AI in there, but also for the students' perspectives to know that, okay, they don't get everything right. This algorithm, it's an algorithm, right? So it may get things right or not, but that was interesting. The acting Secretary of Labor, Julie Sue, gave a very nice presentation, very supportive of community colleges, saying that we as community colleges are the on-ramp in that talking about the workforce system is infrastructure too, as opposed to just physical infrastructure, the workforce system, and that community colleges are a ramp and that apprenticeship is a superhighway. Very good perspective there. So Betty, any takeaways from you?
Well, I attended the session on the Farm Bill, and people wonder, how can the Farm Bill be related to education? And of course, they talk about the SNAP and how beneficial it is to students. Also went to the one on the tax policy, student focus on tax policy, ending the taxation of Pell Grants and modifying other programs. It seems like the lower income students have to pay taxes on money they receive, and they want to eliminate that. And everybody thought that was a no-brainer. And I think our Wisconsin delegation was the only college from Wisconsin that attended the Congressional Forum. It was a room with about 60 chairs.
Half of this size?
And 100 plus attendees inside.
Oh, wow.
With another 25 or 30 on the outside. And then we went to Gallagher's presentation for just Wisconsin, and the room could have held 150 very comfortably. So it was hard. And Monday, or whatever day we were there for the visit, was that Tuesday, was a day they were all voting too. So it was just this constant battle of trying to get the speakers in because they were taking votes and they had to wait for them to vote or wait. They wouldn't leave until they voted. And so what should have been an hour took an hour and a half because we waited a long time for everybody to come in to speak.
We were watching Derek Van Orden on like C-SPAN, seeing him sitting behind the speaker, you know, and then he would rush in and, okay, here's talk. And then, his intern or whatever would say, you got to go get on the floor. You got 3 minutes to vote.
Yeah, that was a big vote that day.
It was a heavy, heavy day up there. And the ACC T24 Leadership Congress is going to be in Seattle this year, October 23rd to the 26th. And going back to beginning of the meetings, I attended on Saturday the Finance Committee. I attended the DEI, and then on Sunday, the full Board of Directors meeting. So you pick up an awful lot of stuff that's going on among the committees. So it's very informative. And then our visits started on the classes on Monday and then our visits on Tuesday. It was a very rushed couple of days. Traffic was good and we hardly ever got to see the outside of the buildings, but it was good. So thank you for letting us attend.
Yes, very good.
Awesome.
Board appointments. A meeting of the Board Appointment Committee is being held this Wednesday to consider the appointment of an elected official member. Can we say who that is, or is there
Yes.
multiples?
Yes, we only have one candidate, so
That's Sheriff Becker, right?
it is.
Yeah. Good.
So you may recall there was just a situation that had occurred, and so we had reposted.
Yeah.
And only one candidate has applied for it, so
So chances are he'll make it.
I would think he's got a really good chance. Really good chance.
Let's see. The annual regular appointment timeline is underway for employer, employee, and school district administrator positions to be appointed for a July 1st start date. Board advance. We've been holding off on the board advance just because we're in the flux of getting some new board members. And so a question I'd like to ask the board is whether we'd like to hold an advance in April or May with the current membership or wait until fall once we have a full board. What's your pleasure?
Now,
Now,
April or May.
other perspectives?
Doesn't matter to me.
What is the advance?
It's just it's another time. It's I don't want to say it's
A
it's typically
retreat?
called a retreat, a
Okay.
board retreat.
Okay.
but it's titled advance. But so we can talk about different specific issues, or sometimes in the past we've had it in conjunction with the foundation as well.
Is there an advantage to waiting till fall, other than the new members? Like, would we get more data that could be shared at that time, or I don't know?
I think it's really your preference, because I think how you have done board advance in the past, is you've done it maybe once a year. I know there was some conversation about maybe increasing it to twice a year. And then we had that consideration about meeting with the foundation maybe once a year, where we would have some joint topics that both boards would find informative, and then being able to kind of break off and do your own. But it truly is up to you. It's up to you. So we will have our elected official, hopefully will be appointed in March. So hopefully he will be chosen and then would be appointed by state board in March. The other positions, I know Gordy is up and Terry is up, and then we have the employee position that's opened. So those three would not be appointed until July 1. So it's kind of, again, it's up to, and I don't know yet what Terry and Gordy's plans are. So potentially, if they would not reapply, that could potentially be, 3 new board members that would be coming in. So it's really it's about professional development for all of you. And Angie and I kind of keep a topics that sometimes we talk about, like, oh, we'll dig more into that, or there's a topic. So it's really up to you. We just wanted to make sure that if you wanted one yet for spring semester, that we would put something together for you. And if you wanted to wait until, again, the board is full, unfortunately, we haven't been able to get the board full.
Right.
So that's been kind of pushing it. But again, it's really your decision. We will do whatever you would like us to set up for you.
My thought is we do it now. And the thought behind that is that, you know, regardless of what decision, you know, the incumbent board members make, if we have new board members, you want them to get their feet underneath them a little bit before you would do this anyway. So you're looking potentially fall before you would launch at that point. So taking the base that we have now and offering this opportunity for some learning at this point, and then potentially a second one throughout the year or with the foundation, or at that point in time, any new members would have some experience and some opportunity to engage with us before that would be my thought.
Okay. So we look for a April, May timeframe? All right. Now on to the committee discussion. As you know, we've long supported the use of the committee structure to provide ample time and presentation for detailed discussion in committee, followed by a brief overview during the regular board meeting. Over the last 6 months, board members have been requesting additional detailed information along with the handouts. Is the board naturally evolving into a preference for full board discussion? Should we explore that, or should we stick with the committees? We are one of the last colleges in WTCS to continue to operate with standing committees. So it's up to the board's pleasure in terms of continuing with the committee structure or discussing everything in the board meeting itself.
May I add
Sure.
a few
Yeah,
things
yeah,
just
yeah.
for you to consider why this is coming up? Is I know that in committee, many times your executive leader is providing handouts. And over the last few months, you have not been given the handout per se if you haven't been part of that committee, because it's been the role of that committee to kind of report out. So we're just kind of wondering, that's how we typically will do. So today, some of the report outs that you're going to do, the rest of the board members would not have the same information you would. And I think you've always kind of trusted that those 3 board members from the committee to report out. So, but it seems like it's changing a little bit, that more board members want to know all the detail a little bit more, or they want the handout. So then that would kind of, there might be consideration that when you think of during COVID, all the topics, you all heard the topics, and then we moved forward. So it's just, again, a conversation point, because we want to make sure you have what you need. And if you all want handouts from every committee, you know, we can do that. It does kind of go, it's not quite how, you know, it would be set up, how it's been set up. So we just wanted to have that conversation as far as what would you like? Because I know there's been times where someone is presenting from the committee and, you know, they're trying to find something and there's nothing here, because again, it's those 3 people that are centered in on, they're going to have more detail. So we felt like we should ask you that, because we want to make sure we're providing you the information that you need. And if you say, gosh, you just want all the handouts for everything that is discussed at your table, we can do that. But that would be a little bit of a change. So we're just trying to figure out what you would all like.
Could I just ask what you see that looking like if we were to do all the committee meetings during a regular meeting? Trying to picture it in my head.
Yeah, I think it would be, Terry, what my vision would be from that would be how COVID was. So we would just be selective as we are now from a timing standpoint.
Okay.
And it would just be on the agenda. And basically all of you would hear the detail, except probably the finance committee. Most colleges have the finance committee has their 3 people that they meet typically separately, because it's a lot to kind of know, and then the finance committee would still be the report out. But let's say for the academic or for the HR, it would just be topics that we would put on, and you would all hear it, and you'd all get the handout, and we move forward. But the committee, there's benefits to the committee because then those are the people that know that expertise a little bit more. But typically then the rest of the board members are entrusting those board members to ask the right questions. And so when they're bringing forward to the board, they're not presenting all of the detail that they've heard in the committee. They're bringing forward the things that they feel are relevant. So I think that's probably why most boards have moved away from it. It's also a time commitment. You know, you're coming in earlier for that committee. I still think we would need to have a finance committee. I think it's more of just the handouts. Do you all, do you want the handouts from, no, I'm thinking not. You want, yeah, that's what I'm hearing from some of you. And I know some of you also really appreciate the committee. So I'm trying to just balance that, wanting to make sure you have the information. Because I think what we're just finding when you don't have the information, it might appear like, oh gosh, why didn't I get it? And I just wanted to explain a little bit why you're not getting it, because you're not on that committee. So we just need to adjust how we support you, if that makes sense. Did that help? I don't know if I.
That makes sense.
I like the handouts. And even if I don't read them at my desk, I take them home.
Yeah.
And if I don't have them, I don't have them. And listening is great, but if you don't take notes, you still don't remember everything that you hear during a live meeting. So for myself, I wouldn't mind if finance was by itself, but then that gives us the opportunity to attend finance if we want to attend finance. But for my part, I've always liked our 3-person committees. Mm-hmm. And I'd like handouts. That's my say. And
I think this is where you as a group need to really decide as a group, right? And knowing that not everybody may agree or disagree, but we just want to make sure we support you as a whole.
I'm comfortable continuing as we have been. I realize it was a change during COVID and some of us got used to more information, but I'm willing to continue the committees as we've had it.
And then we would not provide handouts per se to everybody. Right. Okay. Okay, that's for your perspective.
Is there a board portal or somewhere where some of the documents from committee could be put if anybody chooses to go and look at them?
Yeah.
We're hearing both sides of it. There's some would like that information and some just look from a committee perspective. So instead of taking up the resources for paper copies through everything, if there's some way that could be accomplished from there. Just a thought on listening to some of that. I have a different perspective because my past technical college board service has been without committees. So it's new for me to come into a committee structure and to learn and to operate in this way. What I would say is that you get a tremendous amount of information in your board meetings when you don't have a committee structure, because you are here for a much longer and there's just a wealth of information, all the committee information, everything comes at you all in one night, and you try to prepare yourself as much as you can. But it's still difficult from that part. What I've appreciated about the committees, now that I've had a chance to see all of them and kind of hone in on one, is I believe that I've become more engaged with that area. The one downfall I see is maybe if we stick with committees too long as board members and we stay within those same committees. There's good institutional knowledge and consistency that I think is important. But I think even over time, working through how do we transition committee appointments on a regular basis so we get out of some of our comfort zones and really dive into some of those different areas. So just my thoughts from some past experience.
I see value of both. I've only known the committees, and you get comfortable with that. So, but I do see value, and I do see myself perhaps asking questions of other committee members if I've got them. So I'm good with the.
I do like the concept of the portal, though, and because I'm comfortable only seeing the handouts from our committee, and then but there are I know there are times when if it's a specific topic or something that really rings true, or I'd like more information on that, it'd be handy if there was a. Well,
and I think typically if there's like an ask or maybe an action that is needed, you do get copies at your.
Yeah.
But
RFPs
it's just
and stuff,
right.
Yeah.
But when it's just more kind of informational type things that your committee may be sharing with you, we haven't, made copies. And I think that's where some of the question is coming in.
And some of us that can't read the screen all the time, it's nice to have the hard copy right in front of us, instead of always just looking up on the screen for a presentation. That's my 2 cents.
I'd like to keep it where it's at too. I think for one thing too, what Ryan just said, it'd be kept really long. We'd be here for a longer period of time if we were to go through every committee. And I'm all for sharing these notes, when, like when we send out, or after the meeting, if we have Angie send it out in an email to our MSTC email, I think that'd be a good way to do it too.
Okay, so we'll continue with the committees for now?
Yep, and then the question, Rick, then on, we would not, at this point, would you want us to make copies of anything that is given in the committee to all? Or do we, again, just try to figure out how we could either send them out afterward or do a portal?
I think afterwards or a portal would be
Okay.
good.
Okay. Okay, then, all right, okay, thank you. We just want to make sure you get what you need.
Thank you for asking,
And well, it's just been awkward a little bit because some of you want more information and we just want to make sure we give you, equal opportunity. You all get to see it. So thank you.
Board photos. A request was made for updated board photo to be taken. So if anybody wants their photo redone, please reach out to Angie and she'll arrange that. Betty?
That was my request.
Okay. Anybody else that wants a new photo, just let Angie know.
Get rid of the gray.
What's that?
Get rid of the gray.
Well, with AI, you think you could soften things a bit.
Yeah.
The next meeting date is Monday, March 18th. And then you'll see too, Terry, did you pass that, the slip around, okay. All right, that concludes my report. Shelley?
Okay, just a few things. So under campus activities, capital budget planning, operational budget planning, we are living and breathing, having a lot of meetings, trying to bring you a balanced budget. So we are working on that. January 19th, you may have seen, we did receive some local TV coverage. We did hold a regional Skills USA, and always great to see the competition, always great to see that on the news. Our faculty just do an exceptional job with Skills USA. We're definitely a leader in the region. For AMETA, you will see that you have the updates by you. And you will see that we have the sign up. The exterior sign is up, so we have to claim the building now. We're so excited. It's really coming together. And even to the point that with our Higher Learning Commission, we had to submit our paperwork to really have AMETA be designated as an additional location for us. And I'm happy to tell you that we received the paperwork that was approved. So just another step that really allows us to be able to do a full program out of that facility. So again, we have we've moved from campaign meetings really to building meetings. We now are really moving to the move phase and all the other smaller details. So we have internal meetings right now going on for all of those things. So much to talk about, but just really exciting. So, and I've heard, I have not seen it myself, but I think the exterior signage possibly towards Highway 39 may be up. Is that right? You're all nodding. So, and I hear that you can see the pillars. Is that right? So I had one person call me to say, oh my gosh, it's we can see Mid-State. So definitely puts a smile on my face and should all of yours as well. Under community, and then one other campus activity is in committee, it was discussed, but Governor Evers did over the last couple of weeks sign the bill regarding the oral health and giving the technical colleges a grant to be able to expand their dental offering. So what that means is for Mid-State, we will be able to receive $1 million to either expand our dental assistant program and or possibly offer a dental hygiene program, which we're really excited about. Unfortunately, it will cost more than that, and we'll have to plan for that. But we're just very happy about that. Community involvement, Midstate has been all over. We have been represented at the Portage County Business Council annual dinner, the Mackey Marshfield annual dinner, Central Wisconsin Days, and we also there was a team with WED and Student Services and Academics and myself. We went over to Marshfield and we toured Wenzel Farms. And,
I know Bobby talked about that.
And
she can't eat beef sticks anymore.
Well, I know they are wonderful. Let me tell you, we were able to get warm ones, but what a great company to have in our area, yeah. And we're really excited because they need us for some of their, I think, incumbent workforce training, and we are looking at how can we also help them maybe with some of their product. And we have, our own food insecurity here and our food pantries. And maybe they could use us to be our students some testers for some of their new product line. And so just a really good meeting. Under WTCS updates and Presidential Association, I'm so excited because on March 4th, I am hosting all of the presidents here for our mid-year retreat. I said, let's go central, everybody, so they're coming here. Just excited to host that. Anytime I can get other presidents here, it just really speaks to, I think, what we're all doing. And then the WTCS board meeting in January was a virtual or in-person right in Madison. And the next one will be March 19th, and that's going to be at Moraine Park. So excited because hopefully we'll get our board member to be appointed that day. And we also typically hear about all of our grants in March. So March is always a big meeting from a state budget standpoint, or a state, just state in general stuff, WTCS. So that would end my report unless there's any questions.
I have one more
Yes.
announcement. National Ag Day is going to be celebrated at North Central.
Yes.
And I think it's March 13th.
I don't have the
No.
day. I don't know. But
Anyway,
it's North
it's
Central.
going to be at North Central.
Okay.
Close.
Yep. Typically one college is selected every year to really be able to celebrate that. So that's exciting.
Okay, on to committee reports, finance and infrastructure. Gordy.
Thanks, Rick. The Finance and Infrastructure Committee met and reviewed the following items. The items are for the fiscal year 2024, providing results processed through January 31st, 2024. We reviewed the consent agenda items and there were no questions raised. I ask you to go to page 30 as we go over some of the budget items. Notifications for January facilitate changes related to operations, grants, capital budgets. Ameta Center, the changes will increase the overall revenue budget by $283,501 and expense budgets by $106,486. The capital fund notification is related to the Ameta Center additional funding received since the budget was established. Page 31, budgeted revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund equity portrays our current budget by fund, including the notifications just mentioned. Accrued revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund equity, page 32, portrays the interim changes in the fund equity at month end. For the 7 months ending January 31st, the general fund accrued revenues exceed accrued expenditures by $264,728, reflecting differences due to timing of revenue and expenditures. For all funds, revenues total $45.5 million, representing 63.9% of revenue budget being recognized or realized, and $40.2 million being expended, representing 47.5% of the expenditure budget. The final page, page 31, is cash and investments for the month end, total $22.9 million. As a quick summary of everything I just said, everything stays on budget and is looking good from our committee's perspective. We have one item that the college is requesting to be taken this evening in the following policy. The college uses two methods of procurement of goods and services. A bid is used when a complete, adequate, and realistic purchase description is available and the procurement lends itself to a firm fixed price contract, and selection of the supplier can be made principally on the basis of price. The RFP, we use factors other than price, our primary consideration in awarding, and we've gone through this at past meetings. If you have any questions, you can feel free to throw them at me when I'm done here. The committee reviewed RFP 821, that is at your table, the Amena Center furniture, and have been recommended to bring the item forward to the board. The furniture package is related to the soft seating. This is non-classroom furniture located throughout the complex. Please refer to the packet located at your seat for the RFP resolution and scoring summary. I ask that we recommend the 821 Amena Center furniture to be awarded to Hendrickson and Company in the amount of $112,842.35, being the supplier with the highest scored respondent of the RFP.
There's a motion, is there, oh, I'm sorry.
No, it was brought to our attention. We've worked with them in the past and they know what we want and use, so.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? With, this is probably one of the closest RFP scores that I've seen. Was there something that, is it like the previous experience with this company or something that, you know? Because I'm assuming, I'm not sure what it, the RFP process, are you bound by the highest score?
No, that was exactly
Right,
what,
okay.
yeah. The reason why we do the RFP is because there's more criteria
Yeah.
than just cost.
Right.
So cost is one part of it. So I think you had shared with committee, Greg, that part of it was timeline, part of it was
Materials.
That it
the
looks
brand with
consistent
what we
with the rest
have,
of our
right. The alignment,
facilities. You
yes,
walk in and you know it's MSTC.
yes. Yeah.
We've used this company before, but
Yeah.
being able to deliver it in the time that we need it was
Yeah.
a big one.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Any other questions? Is this a roll call, Angie?
Gordon Shallow,
Yes.
Charles Spargo,
Yes.
Terry Whitmore,
Yes.
Ari Vang,
Yes.
Ryan Zietlow,
Yes.
Betty Brusky Malik,
Yes,
Richard Murden.
Yes.
Just one additional thing on that, Gordy made sure that even though this wasn't the lowest bid, we're still under budget
Okay.
for furniture stuff.
We had two informational items as well. Brad Russell provided an update on the Anthology ERP implementation project. To date, we are at the 50-yard line
Ooh, okay.
or 50% complete.
Wow.
This is one of the visual aids that we
Yeah.
did receive.
Can we kick a field goal at that range yet?
We will take the points, Ari, we will take the points.
Okay, data extract, transform, and load, ETL 0 and 1 have been completed for the student module. Human capital management, HCM, payroll, and finance work cycles are currently underway. As of now, we go live for student in September 2024 with HCM, finance, and payroll to follow. January is our go live date for complete ERP system, at which we will have January through June of 2025 for the WILM costs along with Anthology staff. And I understand through our committee meeting, there's going to be a little football celebration Thursday of this week for the staff. And so,
Reaching a
Celebrating
50-yard
halfway
line?
Completion.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
some pretty exciting things, it sounds like. So,
They're
the
all
second.
smiling back there. They're all wondering what that means.
The second informational item was relating to the funding of the fiscal year 2025 capital budget. We reviewed the need to increase the capital budget to $7 million in lieu of $6 million to keep our facilities, academic equipment, computers, software relevant with today's industry standards. We reviewed a construction cost index provided by M.A. Mortensen Company. It shows a 47.9 increase in the index since 2017. This index aligns with the college has seen since 2017 with its new construction projects.
I didn't understand that. Can you explain that?
7% increase.
Construction in general has gone up 47% since 2017. What we've experienced hasn't been quite that bad, but
Okay.
it's still like 37% increase in our, was it per square foot construction costs? Over that same time frame. So going from a $6 million to a $7 million is in recognition that costs
Yeah.
are going up.
Yeah.
And the fact that they can constrain it to just a 15 or 16% increase when
Yeah.
costs have gone up as much as they have
Yeah,
is admirable.
thank you.
During the same period, remodeling projects have increased by 173.5%. This is comparing the 2017 Marshfield SSIC remodel to a potential SSIC remodel project. We're looking at Adams Campus with the Adams estimated costs providing by our construction manager, Findorf, as agent, and reviewing inflation from 2016 to 2023 sourced from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. It would take $6.5 million today to buy what we purchased just 8 years ago in 2016. This is an increase of 30%. Reviewing Midstate to the WTCS colleges, Midstate's fiscal year 2025 capital campaign would be 21% of operations as compared to the WTCS average of 23%. Baird, our financing partner, provided a long-term financing plan, borrowing the $7 million per year using a 2% property tax growth. The debt survey levy virtually remained the same, 39.25 per 100,000 home to 38.67. So as the data shows, the $7 million budget is needed to keep our facilities up and running and for the future, but really no additional cost to the public.
On a cost per $1,000 of
Yeah,
home value, property value.
And a 2%,
Assumed construction increase, and we've
that's,
seen more
that's
than
minimal. Yeah, that's
we've
minimal.
We've seen more than that.
Okay. Okay.
all right, thank you. Academic and Student Services Committee.
Okay, we have no consent agenda items, but we do have a couple of information items, much of which was shared throughout the night with you. I'm going to start off with our wind term report. Not sure, does everyone have one of these? Okay. So our wind term overview, as Shelley had said earlier, was very well received. Classes, wind term, this past wind term, it's about 3 weeks was the wind term period. We served 444 students this year. That compares to 451 last year, so a little less, but not by much. While student headcount was slightly lower, the FTE was slightly higher, so 33.8 this year versus 32.52 last year. 44 classes were held, and students who take wind term courses have a higher than average success rate at 87% compared to 82% of the average course, or for the average course. This year's rate was even higher than last year's wind term success rate of 86%. So,
Any change in the makeup of who's taking those courses?
I don't know if we've seen a makeup from a student standpoint. I think that we continue to right size the courses that get offered in wind term. You know, it's a constant adjustment of, is this the right course to offer in a three week
Format?
So I think it's more us reviewing that, but I think our makeup is still the same. It's students who are getting ahead, students who are catching up, university students that are home for the holidays.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been our typical makeup of it. People who just want to have a lighter load during the semester as well. So it's just, you know, we started wind term a few years ago, and it's really been a great addition, I think, to Midstate. I think you would agree with that.
Is there any takeaways that would be applicable to the non-January term? I mean,
I think so. I think
is it just that
definitely.
it's so condensed that so somebody can put up with 3 weeks?
I think what's really key is most people who are taking a wind term are not taking any other courses.
Okay.
So they can really concentrate
Focus.
during that time. When you think of other students in the semester, they're juggling anywhere from 3 to 5 classes. So I think that's part of why the course completion is up. But I think it's really Mandy and Chris working really closely together to go, what are the students that we hear that students want to take during wind term, and should we try it? Do we have that in an accelerated format or not? So it's really them, what they hear from what our advisors hear. Really, as Chris continues to look at when do we offer certain courses? You know, I think there's that look like, does it make sense to offer it during winterim or not? Or I think we've done the same thing with summer. I think it's really, when we put out the academic calendar, they're really looking to say what ran last fall, at what time. So where maybe there wasn't as many students, they might drop that. So we were just talking today that it's not always about, I think you put out more courses last winterim, but this year we put out less, but we served almost as many students. So again, dropping those ones that maybe were not as of interest or maybe did not work as well. So it's always right sizing. I don't know if that answers your question, Rick.
And then it's the in-person versus online too.
Yes.
I think the online, I don't know if we talked about it, but there's more interest in the online.
At least for the 3 week.
Yes.
How does, in general, completion, not winterim, but in general, completion rate for online only versus in-person only?
We'd have to look at that. Do you know it, Chris, offhand?
Yeah, I'd like to say across the board, it might be slightly less. Online course completion slightly less. Without the data, we can certainly follow up. I think it's slightly less, but I do think when Shelley's talking about the ability for a student to focus on a single class, and we've explored and will continue to explore different ways that we can bundle our academic calendar to support the student proactively, whether that's to offer these interim type courses, or if it's looking at programmatically, are there certain programs that better fit in a certain schedule? And that's on our strategic plan this year is to continue to explore an 8-week calendar like some of our sister technical colleges have done. So
Maybe what we can do, Rick, is maybe Mandy and Chris, maybe that can be a future report out for your committee and they can bring it forward. Just look at the demographics of our offerings. Is there, how close is it?
And just something further to share is the number of classes by school during the interim. We offered 15 classes for the Gen Ed, 14 classes for School of Business and Information Technology. So those were the highest attended enrolled classes.
Things that don't need a lot of lab.
Yeah.
There's the key on that, right? Things that are more lecture-based.
Things that are what?
More lecture-based.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item is the Wisconsin Act 89. This, again, is for information only. This is the Governor Evers act that was signed on January 31st, 2024. Shelley spoke a little bit about it earlier, about the opportunity to get funding from the Wisconsin Joint Finance Committee. They are providing up to $20 million in funding for the 2023-25 fiscal year. Mid-State's eligible for up to $1 million of that, potentially more. We're still looking into that. But what this funding is for the dental oral health, they call it oral health care workforce. Some of the things that we would be looking to use this money for is to establish new and expanding existing oral health offerings, a capital expenditure for equipment, facility improvements, expenditure for instructional supplies, teaching materials, resources, consumables, or clinic fees. It does require a 20% match from the school. So if we received $1 million, that would be $200,000. Mid-State is exploring using this funding to build a dental lab on one of our campuses to support oral health programming. We currently have a dental assistant, 16-credit short-term program in partnership with the Family Health Center in Marshfield. This program is supported by the Department of Health Services through a grant, through the end of spring semester 2025. I believe the team has gone to North Central NTC to look at the offerings that they have there, their facilities and things like that, and we'll continue to do more engagement with other colleges that have similar programs, to better understand what we can do here at Mid-State. Okay, any questions on that one? All right. Lastly, we'll talk about the WTCS change that impact operational budget. Shelley alluded to this a little bit earlier too when we were looking at the dashboard. And this will have an effect on the dashboard as well as probably our strategic plans moving forward. The WTS system is transitioning to a newly designed course curriculum and program system in fiscal year 2025. In preparation for this transition, WTS is seeking to clarify course definitions for the purposes of orientation, testing, career exploration, and courses that go between post-secondary programs and adult education. Through some of the course clarification definition changes, there are current or existing courses that WTS has approved that will no longer be approved as an FTE generating course at Midstate. So this is like How to College, that's in orientation, How to Blackboard, Start Smart for College Success, all part of orientation. As Midstate continues to onboard and support students, orientation offerings will continue. We'll continue those services. However, we no longer will receive FTE state aid recognition for the delivery of the support as we have in the past. Because of these changes, we are projecting a 30 FTE lost in FY25 or fiscal year 25, and an additional 40 FTE loss in fiscal year 26 in the area of adult education. So this does negatively impact Midstate as far as funding goes. We have shared, or Midstate has shared our concerns with WTCS. But I believe they're still going to move forward with this plan. And so we're going to have to just be able to adjust accordingly.
But it's going to impact all colleges comparably, right?
Well, we were talking about the purpose of why WTS came with something like this, and the consistencies where they're looking at. I guess some colleges aren't doing what we do to orientate, and students to familiarize themselves with our school.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We were disappointed, Ari. I'm so glad you said that so well. There's been a few conversations that we've had very strongly that we don't feel it's the right decision. But again, it's their decision to make. But it definitely doesn't affect tuition because these are not tuition-bearing courses. But it does affect our state aid. So it'll be something that we will, about $1,500 per FTE. So if you do the math, over $100,000 that, it will impact. But I really commend the staff because we don't want to stop doing those things because they're the right things to do. And that's why we have good completion and why I think, our enrollment, because we're doing the right things. So disappointed with their decision. A few other colleges are also very disappointed, but I think it's important for you to know when some of those decisions get made, because when you see our FTE number that we'll bring to you for the budget, we're going to probably see a decrease, and you may say, why is that? And we want to be able to adequately share that with you. So,
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, that concludes my report out. Thank you.
Okay, Human Resources and External Relations Committee. We didn't have any consent agenda items. We had 2 informational items. One was on the Midstate Foundation Employee Giving Campaign. Because the foundation was started in 1979, their focus is called Groovy Giving with a 70s theme. So some of the things that are going on was they had disco bingo. They had a parking space auction, groovy disco outfit contest. And that deadline is passed, but the winner is going to be, voting will occur at the in-service coming up, and each vote is $1, so that'll help go towards the foundation as well. And Central Wisconsin Days, Bobby briefed us on a very successful time down at our Capitol. They met with the group, was it 57 legislators you met with, but how big was that group? That was how many? 85 in attendance. So a good group, meeting with 57 legislators, so obviously more than just the central Wisconsin area, advocating for, these topics across the board. And part of their strategy too was to thank the legislators for their support on the Act 89 dental funding. In addition to that, the three main topics that were brought to the legislators' attention was the need to really address the childcare issues. What's keeping the labor force from being as large as it could, in part, is due to the lack of good childcare. And there is a assembly bill out there right now that's looking at helping in that regard, so they're advocating for that. There's also been a change based on some legal judgments about how rural areas support repairing their bridges. And so there is some movement in terms of trying to make that more palatable again for rural areas, for how they can continue to appropriately take care of their bridges. And also focusing on WEDC currently to get any funding there primarily depends upon whether a project would increase employment. But knowing that the lack of employees right now across the board, they're looking to, there's proposals out there to modify some of that WEDC terminology, language, so that it can also be geared towards sustaining businesses, not just growing employees, but sustaining businesses as well. So those were the three primary thrusts for advocating for central Wisconsin. And Midstate, I should say Midstate in that group, Midstate had a very nice Padfolio. Is that what you call those things?
You do.
Sponsored a Padfolio for all the attendees. So it's something they can use all year long with Centergy right on there. And thanks to our partners at Centergy for doing the bulk organization of that event. Okay, now we're on to discussion and action. Campus Advisory Committee themes. Chris.
Well, we appreciate the opportunity just to give you an update. Every year, once a year, we have the opportunity to meet with our campus advisory meetings. And let me just refer to a document in your packet. This is what we're going to be speaking to. So we're going to go over a few slides here. Thank you, Andy. I'd like to welcome Sheila. Sheila serves as our accreditation and senior evaluation strategist, as well as Leanne Turner, who serves as our dean over academic and institutional excellence. So
Leanne, if you need some more pins, I think we have some more pins. There's another inch or so on each.
Midstate proud. Look at that. Go, Leanne.
Blingy. Sorry, Chris.
No, that's okay. So your second slide. Campus advisory overview. So every year, once a year, typically in fall, each of our campuses, our 4 campuses, bring together a kind of a cross-discipline group of industry stakeholders in that community, to include a variety of business collaborators. We have K-12 present, we have community agencies, we have public safety entities there. And the focus of those conversations are really around what can Midstate do to support you as an employer, as a community agency, as an entity. In addition, we have our program advisory committees that are very specifically focused in that particular niche of program. Campus advisory meetings are that cross-discipline group, and we do that once a year. typically on that agenda, and this last year, we had our 5 pillars. So K-12, we had continuing education, we had workforce training, we had our district, and we asked pointed questions around how are we serving you well based on those 5 pillars, and what are areas that we can continue to do better on. And the information that Sheila and Leanne are gonna go over are specifically the themes related to each of those campuses in regards to the feedback that we received.
All right. So let's talk about the Adams campus. In the program area, one of the top themes on the Adams campus was how students are accessing their classes. Telepresence is how we have traditionally done classes on the Adams campus so that the instructor can be at another campus or at the Adams campus, but they're joined in with another group of students. And there's a distinct desire to have more in-person representation, both from the instructor and having just a class without the telepresence on the Adams campus. So the other thing that was mentioned in that is just the shuttle service between campuses. And I think that's been a very positive thing for the Adams campus and getting our Adams students to the campuses where they can receive instruction live. The other theme that came out, and we've heard already today about childcare and bringing more childcare to the Adams area. They had lots of great suggestions for how we could do that by offering evening certificate options, local business expansions, different support in that. So that's lots of options there. And then once again, the shuttles came out as a positive in that. All right, so let's talk about our next pillar, which is our K-12 pillar. In the K-12 pillar, there was great recognition for Mo and Carly, who have built relationships with our students and faculty and counselors on the Adams campus. We stole Mo from that division and made her an instructor. So we're very excited about that. But as we have a new person come on board just to build those relationships. The other key theme that came out of that area was the expansion of the academies in fire and EMS, to have those hosted in Adams and invite that group. In continuing education, artificial intelligence. We've talked about that today also. That was a big theme for them, looking at AI training for the school district, professional development, and we know that that's in businesses too. As well as mental health first aid, looking at how we can offer that in the community, and Stop the Bleed classes. And then we'll go on to the workforce pillar. And in workforce, looking at banking professional skills seems to be a need in the Adams community. And then there was a recognition of the LifeStar internship that we have with EMS. Finally, looking at our big district key themes that came out of the meeting with the Adams is just continuing that community-centric approach, aligning our offerings with those community needs and supporting the community in that way. A big desire to grow the Adams campus physically, and then helping with community growth and retention. I think I see in this a strong desire to retain educated students in the Adams community.
And I think you were there, Chuck, weren't you? Were you at the, yeah.
What's the Stop the Blood class? I never heard of it.
Stop the bleed.
Oh, it's bleed.
Yeah, it's not.
Oh, okay, all right.
Just a small little typo there.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, thanks. And then on the desire for in-person classes, can you tell me how you make that evaluation? You know, how many students? You know, where's that point at which it makes sense to go in person?
I know one of the classes that we've offered in person over there is the nursing assistant class.
Okay, yeah.
And we've seen there's smaller numbers, but there's a desire for them to be there and the growth with that.
I think it's just finding the right balance,
Okay.
and just continuing to ask. So there are times where we can meet that need a little bit sooner than others. And others we might not be able to make that. That doesn't mean that we don't continue to ask for how that student's needs can be better.
Yeah. And I think, Chris, is it fair to say that sometimes we're doing a class for 3 students because those 3 students need it?
Yeah.
Where I think, as we move into the future with resources, I think that will always be a situational decision. But I think we can't expect that down in Adams, they're going to have 12 students all the time, right? So I think we kind of have that general rule that we like to have, 8, 10, 12 in a class. But I will tell you, Midstate does a lot of classes that have a lot lower students in that, and we've been able to do that from a fiscal standpoint. As we go forward, it'll be harder and harder to do that, but yeah.
I'm familiar that, like in the nursing classes, right, isn't there an 8-to-1 ratio?
Yes,
that
if you have a
maintain?
program accreditation, most of our allied health programs, along with nursing, EMS, fire, they do have that criteria that you need to have a faculty to student ratio. Business classes, gen ed, nothing like that, but program will, and then we schedule accordingly.
But does the CNA have one too?
I think they do, actually.
You have to have, I believe it's a minimum of 3 students
Yeah,
in order to run our CNA.
yeah. And what's our capacity for CNA?
But what's the max?
Yeah,
10
Is there a
yeah,
max?
yeah. I think it's
What
a
is
1
it?
to 10.
10.
10 is the max per instructor. Okay, thank you.
And that's something that each dean is responsible for. They know what their capacity is for their programs that are accredited.
Okay, so the next campus, Marshfield campus. So again, the first pillar is the programs pillar. Their input was the trade and technical program growth. So in areas of carpentry, construction, short-term IT programs. And then continuing that collaboration with industry, potentially expanding employer collaboration for instructors, so teaching some courses. Leadership development has been a strong theme as well, so enhancement, ensuring that training is relevant. Skill diversification and specialized training. So here it's multidiscipline approach. So math applications, just Microsoft certificate programs, just a variety of different ideas. Partnership and facility growth. So here they recognized that positive relationship with the fire department, and then desire that expansion of having a 3-story bird tower. So if we look at the K-12 pillar, continuing that student engagement enhancement. So they appreciate the heavy metal tour, so having that outreach to K-12 students, but also looking at some potential opportunities for reaching out to students in need. So expanding that reach. Machining education challenges, so there's some equipment challenges among the K-12 district in offering those dual credit courses and some potential ideas for sharing resources. And then effective collaboration and engagement. So here it's just continuing strengthening that partnership, offering some career exploration initiatives for both students and parents. And then continuing education, key themes, continuing that community collaboration. So having that local input, potentially having offerings such as like home maintenance, and then team building. Diverse skill development is another one. So some creative avenues like charcoal painting, and but they really appreciate having that local input too in offering some ideas, and then having that local outreach to market it. And then specialized fire officer development, so offering some fire officer courses beyond certifications. And then workforce, so leadership development and staff building, so they recognize that their own employees need that upskilling, so in leadership particularly. Diverse continuing education programs, they had a lot of ideas here. So culinary, photography, accounting, supply chain, and then like the typical conflict resolution, communication, soft skills. And then looking at specific workforce skill development, mental health first aid came up, DEI training, childcare professional, skill development, and then just equipping leadership with the necessary day-to-day skills. And then the district buckets, enhancing EMS equipment in collaboration. So they expressed a need for better equipment, and then continuing that strategic partnership. And then also looking at promoting technical diplomas and apprenticeships as like long-term careers. And I heard you mention that before. And really advocate for that piece of the college. And then Industry 4.0, they mentioned machining again as an opportunity. And then communication improvement, so just making sure that our mission, core values, vision is front of mind and on our marketing. Community engagement and values championing, so just again, like having that community engagement, visibility, and sharing out who we are and what we do. Education, innovation, and business collaboration, so fostering positive change to new approaches.
All right, are we on to Stevens Point now? Okay. In Stevens Point, the programs pillar, mental behavioral health and youth support was a big topic of conversation that day. Finding ways that we can offer programs to increase access to mental health professionals seemed to be top of mind and took a lot of the conversation that day. They also were interested in developing those skill development and short-term programs. So rather than doing the full 2-year associate's degree, how can we prepare students for the workforce in those short-term programs? Because they're desperate for employees. Mm-hmm. So that was a big theme on the programs. K-12, interesting little fact about that day. It was a snow day for K-12. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, the K-12 administrators didn't come. but the community spoke for them and spoke well for them.
Jerry, shouldn't they have been able to attend if there was no school?
I would think so.
I don't know.
Well, there's no athletic events, right? So
maybe right, yeah. Watching it that morning, but I was just wondering.
The calisthenics part probably threw them.
Their cars don't start that morning.
Shelley, you'll be glad to know they maintain the magic of the snow day.
I know. I love it.
So, but the community did speak for K-12 and just really talking about the engagement with K-12 and establishing those relationships and continuing to do that. Mental health came up again as a topic. So looking at how we can serve the K-12 districts in expanding mental health services and workforce for that. Let's move on to continuing education. One of the topics that came up in the conversation was offering CEs for many of our professionals that require those continuing education credits. So working with them to determine what those are, finding the people to teach those, and then offering that. In skill development for customer service and safety, that seems to be an area that customer service especially, they find lacking. The employers find lacking in their workforce right now, so offering that as an option. Another thing that was brought up during that time was with our youth apprenticeship and helping those students who come through youth apprenticeship find that clear pathway to employment.
What would be an example of a customer service course that you would take?
I'm customer service.
Have a customer service
Boy,
course?
that's an oblique name, you know, how
Yeah.
you would associate that with, you know, customer
I think
service.
courses that emphasize those soft skills. I know we've offered a few of those through workforce development. A company will come in and say, workforce development has a menu of soft skill courses that you can do. So they'll come in and pick 2 or 3 off of that menu, and then that can be presented in a workshop style during a day.
And we offer a program, Customer Relationship Professional, that really helps funnel some of those skills into a credential.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's a good question, though. And it's a big topic, not something that you can always solve in 3 hours. But
Well, yeah, and sometimes you think it's like
Common sense or?
yeah. So, but it apparently isn't. I mean,
one thing we teach our faculty is don't assume anything.
right. Yes.
All right. Our next area that we're looking at is our district key themes and addressing the workforce challenge. And once again, the lack of employees available even to hire, that it was a concern for them. Looking at innovative approaches to recruitment and training and attracting and retaining staff. Enhancing the quality of virtual learning. We've talked already about how online learning is 12%. We've grown 12% this year in online learning. My department does a lot with that. I've felt every student because the needs are different for an online learner. So how do we continue to enhance that quality to make sure that what they get in the classroom and what they get online have great parity to them? Also adapting to changing and demographic needs. I love the things that they pointed out here. They talked about immigration, retirees and re-educating or retooling retirees who would like to come back to the workforce, justice-involved individuals and opportunities for them, and then looking at the shrinking population and how we can address our needs there. All right.
And the final campus we'll talk about
So for the pillar programs, looking at the industry alignment across all the offerings from short-term credentials to university transfer. So all along the program offerings, just to make sure that we're aligning with emerging trends, adapting to changing workforce dynamics, again, along those same lines. So meeting that ever-evolving workforce demand and providing that relevant education, potentially having some fast-track programs, understanding that there's shorter-term job tenure, so people are staying in their jobs shorter and they want a degree faster. K-12, so building on that strong K-12 collaboration, and then talked about that parent engagement and career awareness, so increasing that awareness through their parents. And then for continuing education, we only had one response here, beer making.
Beer making.
That was one of the ideas. Workforce supervisor training for engineers, so that was a key point for that particular group. Just understanding that there's some need for some soft skill training for those particular folks. And then soft skills as well, so potentially having a communication type etiquette conference and understanding some of the strategies and practices that they could build off of that. And then district, so ensuring that affordable and quality access to higher education, community engagement and adaptability, so meeting our community needs while engaging K-12 systems, and also continually adapting to economic and educational landscapes, so understanding that evolving. Diverse programs and skills development, so here talking about exploring new programs to address trends like AI, providing effective communication, and then emotional intelligence training as well.
So, a lot of good information that we were able to garner from campus advisory meetings. This is just a small subset of information that we gather that helps inform the college, both regionally amongst our campuses, because that data is disaggregated, right, to focus on that community. But it also can be combined and aggregated together to help inform next year's strategic plan. What we really try to share back at each campus advisory meeting is what did you share with us this last go around, and then what were we able to accomplish, or how did we meet that need, right? You know, some of the feedback that was shared around just leadership development or helping our employers support their existing workforce. We just had a corporate trainer position that was posted through Bobby's area, through our workforce and economic development area, and that's going to be already a need that we're going to help support through some of those initiatives. So we truly mean it when we say, you know, we're not just there to listen, but we're there to listen and take action on how we can best support our campuses. So a lot of good stuff. It's just the start. You know, along with this information, this was also the start of our strategic planning and kind of reaffirmation of our mission, vision, values. So it all comes together in a very way, and thanks to these folks here at the table. They've done their homework and done the due diligence to help support all of that, kind of both quantitative and qualitative data. So.
Chris, the other thing that comes to mind is I know a change that we had done with the academic team is we have a campus dean. And so you may think, gosh, who kind of carries out all of this work? So each of those campus deans as well now look at their to-do list and will be working very closely with people at the college and the community to really, again, take action on what we heard. Because we talk about one college with 4 campuses, but we know all those communities need something else. So not all colleges do a campus advisory meeting. And I think for Midstate, it's really been really beneficial. People see that we're taking action, so I commend your team, everybody. It's really good. And for some of you board members, I know Ricky, you were able to attend, Chuck, Betty, I don't remember, Ryan, you were there. I mean, hopefully you can see just the engagement that happens. I think it's really good for Midstate, if you would agree with that.
Absolutely.
I wondered how you were gonna pull all that information together from all the questionnaires that were filled out. So somebody did a good job.
That's Sheila's genius.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, we will now entertain a motion to go into closed session. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Angie, roll call.
Charles Spargo,
Yes.
Terry Whitmore,
Yes.
Ari Vang,
Yes.
Ryan Zietlow,
Yes.
Betty Brusky Malik,
Yes.
Gordon Shallow,
Yes.
Richard Murden.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I'd entertain a motion to come back into open session.
So, second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify, roll call.
Yep. Terry Whitmore,
Yes.
Ari Vang,
Yes.
Ryan Zietlow,
Yes.
Betty Brusky Malik,
Yes.
Gordon Shallow,
Yes.
Charles Spargo,
Yes.
Richard Murden.
Yes. Okay, in our closed session, we talked about the status and progress of a number of goals for this year, and we're very pleased with all of the progress being made by the excellent staff here at Midstate. And I had forgotten in the regular meeting to describe, we did have a committee of the whole, and at that committee of the whole, we looked at the mid-year scorecard dashboard in terms of where we're sitting, and we're sitting very well in a number of different areas. Just a couple of highlights. We're currently seeing a higher number of program students, which is very beneficial. We're seeing a 55% increase in transfer students. And we've seen real growth in the J term in business IT, health, and hospitality. So with that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.
Wonderful.
Thank you.